We all know Alexa Bliss, multi-time champion, a master of character work, and someone who usually chooses her words carefully. And we know Tiffany Stratton, NXT's Buff Barbie, and also your WWE Women's Champion. Confident, athletic, and never shy about her own abilities. But what happens when one of them drops a pleasantry and speaks their actual mind about the other one? Well, forget about storylines for a second. Alexa Bliss recently made some incredibly candid and some might say shooting comments about Tiffany Stratton, and it got the entire wrestling community buzzing. We've got the breakdown of what she said and why it's so significant. This isn't your typical promo. These aren't remarks that you hear every day. These are remarks from Alexa, who feels raw, unfiltered, and potentially a sign of genuine feeling of a more edgier direction. Did she ignite some real life heat with Tiffany Stratton? What prompted Alexa Bliss to speak so frankly about Tiffany Stratton right now? It's a calculated move, a moment of frustration, or simply Alexa being tired of being held back. We all know they've been screwing her over the last several months with up and down booking and lack of direction. We're dissecting her words and a potential fallout. You do not want to miss this. Now, keep in mind that there is a little bit of an edge to this story. So, fast forward, if you didn't see it, May 23rd episode of SmackDown. Alexa Bliss, she appeared, and she confronted Tiffany Stratton and vowed that she would go on and win the Money in the Bank ladder match. If you win the ladder match, you get a world title match. Go for the WWE women's title, go for the women's world title, whatever you want to do, you got your shot. Now, Bliss also declared that she would be the one to cash in on Stratton, a clear warning to our reigning WWE Women's Champion. The pair were then confronted by who else? The Queen, Charlotte Flair, who had some choice words for Stratton ahead of Money in the Bank and their qualifying match. Refusing to back down, Stratton said how they were so vintage. It was a self-shot at both Bliss and Flair coming from Tiffy time. Now, Stratton, she also argued that the duo were the standard of the women's wrestling division in WWE for years. And now she's here to upgrade it. Now, on Twitter, Alexa Bliss, she bit back on the notion that she is quote unquote vintage. And the goddess argued that whether or not she's vintage or not, Stratton is just a cheap imitation of her. She said this: funny being called vintage by a cheap imitation. SmackDown, hashtag Bliss in the Bank. Now, Bliss is just one of several top WWE stars confirmed for this star-studded women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm talking about, we're going to see Roxanne Perez, a former NXT Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley, ultimately one of WWE's biggest stars, and Julia, who is going to take this company by storm. Now, with 2 spots left, it remains to be seen who will be in the qualifying next and potentially earn a shot at Tiffany Stratton. Okay. Now, this is interesting because WWE has been kind of planting the seeds at a pairing with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, which I find to be very, very fascinating. Right. Now, we do know this. So the next women's qualifying match on SmackDown will be next week. It's going to be Nia Jax versus Naomi versus Jade Cargill. If I had to guess, I'm going to say that Naomi and Jade is not going to qualify. I think Nia is going to get the win. They've been consistently using her. And you have a feud between Naomi and Jade. But it's Jade Cargill, so they're probably going to protect her. So I don't know how they're going to go about this. Now, let's switch gears for a second. There's a lot of history with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. They're two of WWE's most prominent and decorated stars in history, and they have a notable, albeit not extensive, history of direct feuds and matches. Okay, so let's break these down. Now, early in NXT, I'm talking about 2014, their first televised interaction occurred in NXT. Charlotte Flair defeated Alexa Bliss in the semifinals of a tournament to crown the inaugural NXT Women's Champion in May. They then had another TV match on NXT television in September that same year, which saw Charlotte go over. Now, during this period, they were both developing their personas, and Charlotte already was on a path to becoming a top star in NXT, and Alexa Bliss, well, she was just trying to find her footing at the time. Fast forward 3 years later, 2017, they had a champion versus champion match at Survivor Series. Now, this was their most high-profile one-on-one match at the time. At that event, then Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss faced then SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. It was a hard-fought battle in which ultimately, you guessed it, Charlotte Flair went over. She did so by locking in the figure eight leg lock, and this match was a key part of the brand supremacy theme at that year's Survivor Series. Thank goodness they got rid of that because no one cares. Oh, I'm a Raw talent. Oh, I'm a SmackDown talent. No one cares. Now, then we go to 2021, and they feuded for the Raw Women's Championship now. It was during the summer/early fall time, Alexa Bliss, in portraying her darker supernatural character, accompanied by the Lily doll, feuded with Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. The storyline involved mind games, with Bliss trying to get into Charlotte's head by using Lily and her fiend-inspired powers. Charlotte often dismissed Bliss's antics, focusing on her own dominance. This feud culminated in a championship match at Extreme Rules that year, in which Charlotte went over Alexa Bliss yet again, shocker. And there was a significant post-match angle, which ultimately saw Charlotte tear up the Lily doll, which deeply affected Bliss's character, leading to her taking time off and eventually evolving her persona. Now, throughout their main roster careers, they've been involved in various multi-woman matches together, including Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank ladder matches, and Survivor Series elimination matches on opposing brand teams. For instance, at the 2016 Survivor Series event, they were on opposing teams in a 5-on-5 women's elimination match. They were also both part of the women's Money in the Bank ladder match in 2018, which Bliss won, going on and cashing in for a women's title. Now, recent interactions. Let's look at them. May 9th, episode of SmackDown, Charlotte Flair walked out due to a hostile crowd reaction because they would not let this woman talk whatsoever, and Bliss was seen approaching her backstage, suggesting that they have a chat, teasing potential new storylines or an alliance. And then, of course, the May 23rd episode of SmackDown. So, in closing, their history has largely been one of Charlotte's often upper-handed type of feuds, right? She always gets the better of Alexa in singles encounters, particularly in major matches. On the flip side, you have Alexa Bliss, who has been a significant character for WWE and a multi-time champion in her own right, often using her cunning and character work to challenge opponents, right? Really, their 2021 feud was the most notable of all of the encounters. But once again, it got Charlotte over. What else is new, right? Like, they're always going to protect Charlotte Flair. I thought this was a fun little history piece just to look at, okay, where they're going. Because I will say this, as much as I am critical of WWE and their booking of Alexa Bliss because it makes no sense to me, I am really, really excited about what they're doing with Tiffany, what they're doing with Alexa and Charlotte. Like, this triangle, it's very, very fun. And having Alexa Bliss back in the mix is super, super fun as a content creator as we evolve this storyline.